YouTube, how's it going? Good morning. Here on a morning walk. Want to make a video as I posted a few on my stories, quick reflections, but I got this crazy thought and I had to share it on here. And it is essentially something that bothered me for so long because I had so many temptations, so many different areas, like most men, watching porn, masturbation, women, lust, overeating, all these things. But as I've been on this journey and got closer to the one that gives you all the power, God, I realized that, like everybody, I was not mentally weak. Well, we're all mentally weak and, weak in terms of our flesh, and we're sinners. But what is going to combat that is getting spiritually stronger. So it's not trying to get mentally or physically stronger. It's realizing that you're weak in those areas regardless. And you'll always have limits there, but it's about getting spiritually stronger. So, those temptations, I said in the previous video, don't realize they're battles that are taking place where you don't see. And even if you don't realize that the battle's still going on. So it's essentially you in a battle with no weapon and just getting beaten down every time by enemy you don't see. But when you realize that the battle's taking place there and you have a weapon and you can be present and fight those battles, that crazy is when everything changes. And that is taking place spiritually. It's, the term spiritual warfare is there for a reason. It's a place that you don't see per se. It's not in front of you, it's not in front of your eyes. You can't think about it or envision it and, make these illusions in your mind about it. It's a place where you feel the attacks coming. You feel the devil trying to tempt you. It's like a whisper that the devil uses to do this or do that. But then you realize that God is your tool, your weapon to battle that. You before were simply there with no weapon at all, maybe a stick, while the devil is using a sword. And now you realize that the battles are all along and God is giving you all the weapons you need. And, the strongest weapon being faith. Devil uses fear, things you don't have, lack. But like I said, you were never present there. You never knew what was going on. You're always lost in, why can't I beat this thing? Why am I always overeating? Why am I consistently falling into lust? Wanting to, watch porn or masturbate or get lost in these vices, gambling? Why am I have a drinking issue? Why do I consistently want to just get lost in drugs and feel a certain way to escape with that? And you don't realize that those battles and those calls are from the devil. But when you're not connected with the one above and you don't connect it with the purpose he has for you, because when you're connected, you realize that everything is happening, perfectly for a reason, because it's guiding you. But when you're not connected to something higher, it can be God, the universe, whatever you want to believe in, you don't realize that there's things that are working in your favor. These temptations, whether you see them or not, are strengthening you, are trying to strengthen your spiritual connection to him. When you depend on him entirely and see that he's the one guiding everything happening in your life, you begin to have faith and begin to be okay with surrendering and letting go of these plans, these plans of ego. The majority of the time you're creating of like, if I get this, then I can show these people this. Or, you're trying to accumulate to show others. But when you realize that you're here to give to others with certain gifts you've been given, you're not here just by accident. You're not here to just get lost in pleasures and desires. You're here for a specific purpose. The probability of you being born, I believe, is like, a couple million people rolling a dice and it landing on the same number, something like that. It's a crazy statistic. And like the fact that you still have the ability to listen to this message, see, hear, have all the basic 5 senses. You can walk, you can run, you can exercise, you can breathe. you have so many other things you can do, and that's just the surface level. It's just even gifts that God has given you that are specific to you that you haven't realized yet because you're lost in the flesh and don't realize that where everything happens and where the most real things are happening for you in your life are where you don't see. And until you realize that, you're simply losing the battle because you're not present there. You're losing this battle you think is mental or physical. So you think, oh, if I get a bigger body or, start thinking differently, that's just being more in your head. The body, of course, matters because the body affects frequency, affects you being connected more. Burpees, I always mention that doing burpees is a spiritual exercise. It gets you out of your head. The body is what can get you out of your mind, but you trying to think differently or write things down or, even seek counseling and stuff like that. That's just you trying to use something or a tool that's not even going to win you the battle because the battle is all spiritual. And, the more you live in this world and try to compete in this world or compare yourself in this world, that's you still using and being in the same plane, which is mental. So that's why comparison, competing, these are all things of the mental. Those that do the greatest things, even if they don't see it, are working on a different plane. They work on the spiritual plane. They're getting these hunches, ideas from things that are God, because they're simply vessels. And He's working through you as long as you remove the noise and are aligned. So the noise is the distractions, the news, social media, bad environments, bad people, bad influences that are just telling you, chase this, chase that, you're in lack. You have to begin to change the things around you selectively and put more of what really matters, which is the spiritual side in. So put books of scripture. The Bible, I'd recommend, of course, final, but there's steps to it. You can't just start reading the Bible from, you being stuck in vices to picking up a Bible. Your ego won't understand it. Your ego won't accept it because it's the enemy. It's essentially the enemy coming into the battle that the devil doesn't want because you're simply being controlled by what you think is mental, but it's the devil moving you like a puppet here and there with your desires. And when he sees God come into the picture is when he'll make you reject him. He'll start shaking. He knows that he's the one that is going to guide you and get you out of the dark into the light. Because right now, even though you don't see it and you think all these things, oh, I feel good doing this and, I'm going to go do it again next weekend, these vices, even though you feel good in the short term, you're actually running towards the darkness and your death spiritually at first and even physical, even ending your life at some points for some people. So when he begins to enter the picture, the devil will shake, he'll make everything, it's like an exorcism happening, you throwing holy water at the thing that's possessing you, which are your vices. And of course it's going to hurt and it's going to feel weird. You're going to reject it because you're no longer leading the show. It was the devil leading the show with the vices for so long. But when God comes in the picture, he starts to change things. He starts to give you perspective. He starts to give you purpose for what you're here to do and gives you clarity and the signal. And that's why you have to do it step by step. I recommend getting a book, from any kind of bookstore that has the scriptures. A scripture a day, will keep the devil away. You can say that. But that's the way to start accepting and opening your heart to him, because right now you have a closed heart. And even you watching it with your ego, you won't accept this message because your heart is closed. You're just thinking that life is about hedonistic pleasures, more women, getting more money to live a certain lifestyle, get lost in more vices. But when you introduce, like I said, even a book that has simple scriptures, you'll start to change your perspective. And when that happens, and you open your heart more and more and realize that things of this world, even though they're beautiful and they're from God, when you chase them and think the fulfillment is there, you get your validation from that, that's the devil. You realize that that's all fake, an illusion. That, my friend, watching, is when your life changes. And you can do the things that are hard, the things that I tell you, the habits, waking up before 5 every single day, avoiding the parties, avoiding the vices, avoiding the distractions, avoiding all the things before that you thought, you know, you're supposed to be doing or were just normal to do. And you realize that 99% of people are lost because they don't know where the battle is really occurring. And it's all where you don't see. So I just want to leave the message with. And until you realize and accept this message and your heart opens, you'll keep battling these vices. You'll keep living in shame and guilt, upsetting the people around you because they see you have potential, but you get lost. And these things are not real. They're an illusion. And when you look up like God can and you see perspective, you just realize that it was, you know, you versus the devil the whole time. It was never something wrong with you or something you needed more of or something you need to fix with some medication. It wasn't depression. It wasn't anxiety. It was because you had nothing guiding you. And it simply was you fighting a battle, like I said, you did not see or not aware of. So now you have the perspective, the clarity, the understanding of how to get into the real battle that you're fighting. And that is with the eternal, the one that will give you all the wisdom, as long as you obey, sacrifice, remove, let go, and commit yourself to the lifestyle of, you know, serving others with a good conscience, but most of all, fulfilling your purpose and what you're here to do. And that comes with time. It's not something that is just given to you from day one, bit by bit, step by step through faith. You find it more and more, and simply praying, understanding that all the answers will come because all the answers are from there. Everything you see in front of you came from that. So it's called infinite intelligence for a reason. It's called the source for a reason. And when you're connected and aligned, meaning you don't desire, you're simply at peace. You feel yourself buzzing literally. It's crazy, is when things begin to appear and manifest that are meant for you because you're ready for it. So that is the message. God bless. Enjoy. I'm recording this on a Monday, so record your Monday. Enjoy your Monday. Make it productive. But most of all, remove the noise. Get in touch with the signal. That really matters. And your life will begin to change. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll put my description below. And we can connect there. You can see the lifestyle and how I live. It's something I do 24/7 every day with the habits. And it's something I can't go back on because, like I said, it's changed my life. From being someone that was lost in women till 7 a.m. only a few years ago to now waking up before 5 a.m., you know, delivering these messages, doing the habits, the workouts, and everything that keeps me connected and keeps me aligned with the Creator. So God bless. Enjoy your day. And as always, until next time, keep killing it.